All right, good morning, everybody. I call to order the regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors for Solterra Resort CDD. Today is May 1st, 10:01 a.m. and take roll call. Members of the board, Brian Mert is on the call with us today. Supervisor Nealon and Supervisor Winker. Members of your staff, Joe Bullen, the general manager, Brian Mendez, your district manager, Savannah Anton, and Megan, her last name.
Bernhold's Couture.
Bernhold's Couture.
Wow.
All present. And then, as well as, potentially members of landscape on the call. Bear with me. Greg, you on with us? Yep, and your district engineer.
Yes, sir.
Greg. Give it a second, actually. Public comments, we have Jeff Boyle at 1011 Oak Bluff Springs with some comments. Jeff?
Yeah, I was looking at tab 17 with we're doing good hazards and everything else. I was just wondering, if you're gonna have these guys out here doing this concrete work like they did with the pads and everything, why wouldn't you be able to integrate that pathway between a townhome into that so that you won't have to call somebody out just to do that, which may be a little bit more expensive. I don't know, but it just seems to be like if you had somebody doing it, they're already here, they could actually add that to your agenda.
You want to create additional walkway? Is that?
No, but there is a path there, but it's so hazardous with the edging. It's up on a 45-degree, there's sharp edges, and it's just nothing but rock. And, it's very hard to walk through. But
We could look into it.
You talk about the gravel halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, it's going between the houses on the old bus. They did use it to go to school, but we were looking at doing possibly concrete there in the future.
Okay.
So we have quotes for both. We had asked Dora to give us quotes to fix what's currently there, but then we also have one for concrete. The Legacy has done the concrete work here. But those were not ready for this meeting.
Gotcha. So coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, and if I can weigh in on that just a little bit, I think if, kids are riding their bikes or those pathways, those rocks are, it's just not really, for people walking their dogs and cutting through, it's really not conducive.
even
And I
trying to
think
push a stroller, you really can't.
exactly, I think that we're probably in the future going to do the concrete anyway. So if there is a difference between, it's coming down the pike at some point in the future, is we'll get rid of it. What papers too?
Pretty much specific in terms of the style of work that they do for sidewalks and things like that.
I mean, it looks like they're only gonna do like maybe 4 yards of concrete.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge thing, but as long as you got people here, instead of having to call them again.
Jeff, how do you feel about pavers? Because I understand
Well, yeah.
pavers and concrete cost about the same thing and one is a
Yeah.
much nicer one.
Yeah, it'd be probably about $1,200 for concrete that much of it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that it can be floors.
No, it's a great point. Yeah, no, Joe's working on some. We'll add that to the list and then hopefully we'll get some updates at the next meeting. Anything else for us?
The bench that's at the springs, I don't know if the HOA has anything to do with that wall. I don't know if that's for their jurisdiction or for CDD.
I believe Greg said something during the last meeting. Greg, do you recall
The Springs, Greg,
the wall?
ownership of the Springs
Yeah,
wall.
so it is, the wall is owned by the CDD.
And,
So a little history if you want. So in 2011, there was a quick claim deed that transferred the ownership to the CDD. So also the property appraiser shows the ownership as being Solterra Resort. So I believe that confirms that the land that it's on is CDD land.
okay,
It's just so that they could, if you ever need all washing, painting, or whatever, they know who to contact and so all their HOA, which they would have.
No, that's good. Do we have a handy?
Yeah, so it was just pressure washing, it's currently being repainted. Yeah, it's
Okay.
currently being repainted by maintenance staff on site, so they'll finish the front and they should be moving it back on Monday. Good building service.
Yeah, and that bench there is sinking in the ground. You don't want to sit on it because you're on a 45-degree angle. It's
Okay.
sinking in there.
Okay,
Yeah, and I've always found it things. Some years ago, we did a gravel path through the amenity center, track people. That's the partner. Now they're not using that, they're going towards the full board on the other side of the compactors. And now all that grass is just all tore up, and not only for the sprinkler, it's a matter of damage as well, but,
Yellowstone or Dora?
well, whoever picks up the trash.
Oh, I meant the friend.
No, so it's a native service, it's doing the parking the trailers, the problem is, we had so much trash, and they had so many people now, that they don't have the room with the small gravel that we put to actually park all three of their vehicles, and they're up there unloading, so they're pulling off past the trash compactor on the right. Because where the grass is, and killing that grass also.
This is in the trash compactor?
Yes. But it's native service, it's the HOA provider.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll follow up. Okay,
That's kind of like it. Thank you.
thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, any other public comments? Anything online? Anybody online? Any public comments? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into district engineer for stormwater inspection updates and the speed hump project. Greg, turn it over to you.
Sure. Quick update on the inspections. We did finalize the inspections and found a couple of maintenance items, but there was nothing that we found that prohibits the system from operating and being maintained per the original permit. So I believe we uploaded the certifications to the Southwest Florida Water Management District yesterday. I'll double check on that after this meeting, but I believe that they were uploaded, and we should be up to date on our inspections and certifications. The next inspection for the ponds that we reviewed during this inspection it's due 5 years from now. So every 5 years, you've got to do this certification.
Okay. Anything on the speed humps, Greg, that you've seen?
Nothing at this point in time. I believe the humps are installed at this point.
Yep, just getting into striping.
I don't see any on Terra Sonesta, but they were on the proposal.
They haven't deemed anything complete. I think they're gonna be back next week to finish up the round of asphalt, and then once that's done, we will start the painting. So the painting I wanted to bring to your attention, because this has been a sore spot in my other communities. The current diagram, they look, to the best analogy, they look like teeth, like Halloween teeth. There's 3 of them. Your other option would be try to match what's on that speed table, which is kind of like a V. Lines leading up. Wanted to bring that to your attention.
I'd have to actually see them side by side to be able to. I know it looks like what the V shape looks like, it's so intriguing.
It's just like straight, because the gentleman was painting this morning as I was driving in on his machine. They're just straight lines and it's almost like a tiered, it looks like.
I mean, I feel like it would be best if the paint on the road was consistent for all of them instead of some that's running and some a different one.
That's probably the best.
This is the best reference that I'm gonna be able to give you quickly. Pull it up. All right.
Brian, while you
so-
pull that up, sorry, this is Supervisor Amir. My preference is on the main boulevard that everything looks as consistent as possible. I just think that's a good aesthetic from driving in to getting to home down the main boulevard. It should be as close to the same as we can get it.
Sounds good. That's what I'm leaning towards. So that's what it pretty much looks like. They're little teeth.
So you're talking about on the top?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that doesn't, it's not visible usually.
At night, it's a little hard to see.
Yeah, because if you have it here like this, the one we have, that's pretty much, it's visible from the long distance.
Okay.
It also looks more directional, which is fine, but it doesn't really look like a warning that there's a speed table there, or speed bump. Is it a speed table or a speed
It's a
bump?
speed bump,
Speed bump.
speed bump,
A couple of
hump,
people have
table.
asked and I,
It's the middle guy.
So is the paint that is gonna be used, gonna be reflective so that it can be seen at night? I do understand that there's also gonna be signs in advance of these to accompany it.
So to answer your question, I know they use a specific paint. We could verify the requirements in terms of like roadway compliance. So what I will do, I will leave, I'll take a photo of what we currently have. Greg, I'm gonna send that photo to you. And then we can follow up with the hall company on what we expect all of the painting to be. And then to Deb's point, if there's any requirements for specific paint, Greg, if you could throw that for us.
Yeah, sometimes they have traffic paint that has glass beads in it, and that's what's reflecting. Let me double check on that, and I should be able to send you something.
Okay,
Thank you.
give me 2 minutes so I can write this down. Feel free to discuss amongst yourself. And Greg, anything else for you, please?
I think that's all I've got today.
Always on the phone.
Well, if that's all, Greg, sorry, go ahead, Sabine.
I can cover this up in the shower, section.
We don't have anything from it related to that. Okay, fine. Perfect. Thank you.
Joe, if you actually had anybody running around, if they could take a picture of that speed table, yeah.
I plan on being in the area next week. I'll swing by to Brian and take a look.
Thank you. So at this time, Greg, if there's nothing else, we are going to be preparing to enter into shade. So we will have to ask everybody that is now part of staff and board to vacate at the moment. Okay. Good to see
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, this is Greg Woodcock. Can I jump off now, or would you like me to stay on?
Yep, you're good, Greg. You're good
All
to
right,
jump
thank you, sir.
off.
Thank you, everybody.
In about an hour, we are about to enter into shade.
yeah.
Yeah. Goodness.
Over there.
Hi, y'all. Does anyone here know, is this the correct link for the CDD meeting? And are we waiting for them to get started? What's going on? Sorry, I joined late.
They are in the shade
They're
session
saying-
discussion, but it is,
And then they'll join this meeting?
yes.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Meeting. I have it.
Oh, wow, we're back. Hello, everybody. Bear with us. So we are coming back on the record at, what time is it? Noon. Return. All right. Let's jump into aquatic maintenance on tab 1. Matt, are you on the call by any chance?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, man?
Hi. So yeah, we desperately need some rain, definitely. It's really gonna start help flushing out all the old stuff out of the ponds, bringing the water levels back up. It's not all bad. We have been taking these past couple of weeks to treat the exposed pond beds and the shorelines with some herbicides. So come summer, when it is raining and the water comes back, that stuff is already dead. It's not going to start growing up. So again, a little positive with it. And in the meantime, specifically here, we are going to start hitting the lilies and cutting them back because they really blew up over the past couple of months. It's a real strong coverage, and that it looks a little bit worse than it is because the water's so low and they're just a little crowded. But I like keeping them about 30% covered, and so that's basically what we got to focus on. We did throw in an extra visit last month too, just to start cleaning up those shorelines ahead of time. So we'll be pretty smooth sailing headed into rainy season.
Wonderful. Board, we are still waiting on the pond plant replacement, so we'll be bringing that back most likely in June or July. All right.
Yes, right here, right?
Yeah, he was.
What's he got?
Yeah.
I saw him here, but
That's funny. Matt, anything else for the board in terms of, so it sounds like we did an extra treatment, we're treating for potential algae blooms, all that good stuff, and maintenance as usual?
Yep, and yeah, I've been trying to rework those plantings to fit the criteria, and our vendor raised their prices, so I might look for another one too to keep the price down. So yeah, I can have that up next month.
Okay. Questions for your aquatic team?
actually, yeah, good job. His report is one of the best report that I always impressed because it gives the before and after effect.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like this style of it. You guys are the only ones that do it. I wish more people did.
No, good job. I know that we had some concerns about a year ago with current pictures, but you've nailed it since we brought that to your attention.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, take those brownie points, Matt, and have yourself a fantastic Friday. We'll catch you next month.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm just waiting for him to make a mistake, but so far no.
That's a good place to be in. All right, well, we did that one in record time. You had 10 minutes, we did it in 2. So jumping into pool operation updates, turn it over to Savannah.
So supervisors, in one of the tabs in your, on your tablets, there is gonna be a red line version.
It should already be up on your tabs.
Pool resurfacing contract, so
That's that one, yes.
I've been conversing with Vermont's council and want to make you aware of a few things. So number one, at the last meeting, there were comments that Vermont would need to change the price because we were delaying the project until the fall. Spoke with Dan, reminded him that when they submitted their RFP, they signed an affidavit stating that they would hold their pricing for 365 days. He said, you are correct, and they now will not be attempting to change any pricing for any of the materials used for the project. If that changes, we will come back, but as of right now, we are good to go there. There are a few things that he has requested red lines on. Some of them I have to get your approval to agree to because I don't have the ability to waive a warranty provision or things of that nature. So I'm just going to very quickly walk through the different red lines, kind of give you our recommendation and our feedback. I will do this as quickly as possible, but please stop me if you have any questions. So first, section 2D, standard of performance. Normally your contracts say any type of service has to be done to the industry best practices. He's requested that that be modified to say conform to the standards and practices of projects of similar design and complexity. I don't have a legal issue with that. I'm comfortable agreeing to that. Just wanted to make you aware of that. He has requested to remove that in the event of termination of Vermont, that we will just have to pay them everything rather than only for those services that have been satisfactorily fulfilled and completed. And I am very uncomfortable having that provision removed from the agreement.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if the board agrees, I would like to push back on that red line. I'm not, we'll do it.
If they walk away, we're not paying them in full, they're.
Right. Or if they do something wrong, I'm gonna withhold payment because we're gonna have to get somebody else to come out and do it.
Yep.
Next is subsection F. This is for damages. So we've negotiated this. I'm comfortable with what they have proposed. They will acknowledge receipt of any notice that damage has occurred within 24 hours. If it is a issue where it is affecting health, safety, wellness of the residents or guests of this community, it will be repaired within 48 hours. If it is not an instance of health, safety, welfare, it will be fixed within 10 calendar days. I'm comfortable with that. They just wanted a little bit more time to complete those repairs so they didn't come into an issue with defaults.
So can you give us like an example of that? Would that be
If they
something like if they damage the fence?
If they damage the fence,
They would
that
have to put a barrier
they would
up.
put a barrier and then they would say, we've received that your notice that we've damaged something, we will fix it within X days. If they bust a water line or a pipe, that is something they would have to fix within
They have
48
to
hours.
remediate it immediately.
Yes,
But,
correct.
okay, so you're okay with that? I
Yeah.
understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Is the 10 days is the max?
10 days would be max. So
Okay.
it would be, maximum 10 days, it would be. If there was something that, they called us and they said, your fence is back ordered, it's gonna be 2 weeks, like your type of fence, we could negotiate something then, but in pretty much 99% of time, it will be that 10 days will be the maximum time frame.
Okay.
Pool and spa services,
Does that include, damage to landscaping if they have some heavy equipment and
Yes.
take down a palm tree?
yes,
Then they have to
if they
replace it with
Yep.
a like.
irrigation, plant, anything that they run over, if they set a trailer out there and it ends up killing something, that is something that would be covered under this.
Okay.
The timing for services has been revised since we're no longer starting those services this spring. We have made it to be, once a permit is issued, they have 30 days to complete it, and we will give them that written authorization. Hey, we're ready for you to start this project. So if we're ready for them to start September 20th, on September 1st, we would say, hey, we want you to start this date. Please go forth. So I have no concerns about that change. That's one I actually made myself. Something I want you all to be aware of is under the payment section. So section 3, subsection A. Usually
What page is that on?
it would be on page 3 of the agreement,
Page 3.
or 4, yes.
Four of them.
I'm in a Word document, so it's slightly
Okay,
different.
section 3. Okay, I'm
Yes. Normally, we have a 50% payable upon execution as a deposit. And then we have, the rest payable upon final completion when the district signs off. They've requested a 50% payable upon execution like we proposed, 40% payable upon substantial completion, and then the final 10% is payable once they finish all of our punch list items and get final.
So what is considered substantial completion? It has to be partially,
It's
partway through the second phase.
It's pretty much wrapped up. Yes, ma'am.
Can we, in construction firm loans anyway, it's tied to actual events
Okay.
and completion of specific things. There are specific benchmarks. And it's usually done not just 50 and then 40 and then 10. It'll be 50 because they've got to pay their trades in advance.
Right.
And then as these benchmarks are hit, then we contribute whatever percentage is allocated to those specific
We can
benchmarks.
do that.
Yeah.
I think that that's a better way to do it.
I'm more than happy and I can negotiate
Yeah.
that with Dan as the rest of the board amenable to that.
They going to give the schedule, right? Anyway?
Yes,
What are they going to finish?
yep, and I'm
So
saying,
accordingly, we put a percentage next to it. and then
Perfect.
accordingly.
okay, perfect, then I will do that, I'll negotiate that down with Dan. So a pretty big deviation, in that same compensation section under additional services, so they have proposed language about these unknown physical conditions, as you'll see in the blue font. Specifically, if the parties are unable to agree upon such adjustments, so if they have encounter something that they don't expect, some subsurface, some project thing that wasn't contemplated, it states that if the parties are unable to agree upon such compensation adjustments, the contractor is just gonna perform the work, and the adjustments of price have to be determined by a third party in accordance to the dispute resolution provisions of the.
So basically mediation.
Basically, usually what we do is if we can't agree on a price adjustment, we're not moving forward with the additional work. This is a pretty big deviation from what your usual agreements say. While it's not unreasonable, I wanted it to come to the board's attention to see if you all were comfortable with agreeing to this. This would basically allow them to just do the work at whatever cost it is, even if we don't sign off on it and we have to do mediation.
We have to have control, so.
Yep.
Now, we need, if they have any unexpected and unforeseen issues, we need to agree upon.
And usually we have them stop work, and if we can't agree, the contract is terminated.
Okay.
That is not for additional work though.
And this would occur if there's additional work that came up because of unknown circumstances at the pool and the lazy river, what have you. So if they started installing the electricity for the new lights, and it ran into some unforeseen circumstance, I don't really know what they could possibly run into with that. It would just, I would prefer we not move forward unless we can agree on a price.
Yeah, because.
Yeah.
It's a deviation.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deviation for our.
Well, and you bring that up and that example that you used, because initially they said that if we didn't do it at a certain time, that it was gonna be $20,000 or $30,000 more per light. So I would hate for something unexpected
Unexpected,
to
yeah.
come up, and then they use that as an excuse to recoup the money that.
No, agreed. I think you should have a cap and a say on what we potentially need to spend on.
So I'll get with Dan to talk to him about this. Our next one is the liquidated damages. So the board requested that we include a liquidated damages provision. The RFP stated that the work has to be complete pretty much within 30 days. They've said that they can do it within 30 days. Our liquidated damages previously was $500 each day, after substantial until final completion, that it went over that timeline. Their counsel came back and has suggested that there be a maximum amount of liquidated damages that may be chargeable under this provision, and it would have to be 10% of the amount of the services for each, the pool or the lazy river. I think that's
a lot of money.
Well, that's the maximum. So it's still the $500 per day up to that 10% of liquidated damages. I'm comfortable with this, but.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's the same. If you calculate, it's coming to the same, dollar amount.
Right.
10%, $5.
Okay.
Next portion, with termination, they have requested that our usual standard is that we will pay them for any services that they've incurred, whether that's equipment, labor, etc. We will pay them what's due to that time. They have also requested to include any demobilization costs, so if it costs anything for them to get off of the project. While it's not standard in your agreements, it's not unreasonable. I'm comfortable with it. I don't think that would ever be,
What is being there as a demobilization of cost?
I asked Dan that. He said it would be if they had to bring physical equipment on site to move anything off, if they had to incur any additional special expenses that wouldn't have been incurred otherwise if they finished the project. So if they had a bunch of product that then, cement that was already used that they then had to dispose specially in a special way or something of that nature, that is what that would be. Obviously, if we get a bill for a demobilization cost and we don't agree with it, we can always withhold and dispute it.
Well, I mean, the cost of this includes them removing any.
Correct. So I think he wants to have it spelled out that the demobilization cost, because those aren't technically incurred at the time of termination, the way it's.
Oh, so if.
In the
only
event.
Only in termination.
Terminated.
Yeah.
Section 5 warranty. So this one's pretty big. First of all, the project manual stated that all work provided has to be warranted by the contractor for a minimum of 24 months after final acceptance. They have now tried to change this to be 1 year. I do not agree with this. I would request the board let me push back on that.
Agreed.
That is a board decision, but my recommendation would be to push back and stick with the project manual
Okay, can
requirements.
we, push back to the original, but then if we have to give anything, can we go back to 18 months, then not a year?
We could,
If that's what it takes to,
if that's the board's desire, yes. When I pointed out to him that the project manual that they signed an affidavit attesting to says 2 years, he conceded that, hey, we're gonna have to go with what the project manual
Yeah,
said, just
yeah.
like the price. He also has included a, waiver of all other warranty express or implied, including warranties of merchantability or fitness or for a particular purpose. I'm very uncomfortable with that, waiving any other type of warranty language. Florida staff, okay, so as long as the board.
no, because the way I'm interpreting this is the fitness of a particular purpose is offered. You need to use the right kind of materials in the right place.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly. I
Okay.
agree. So I will, request that that is not included. And then they also tried to, he is asked to include a contractor shall replace or repair warranted items at the contractor's discretion, whether instead of at the district's discretion and to our satisfaction. I'm going to push back on that. I'm not comfortable with that language. That is not standard for our agreements, and that's not what I'm gonna.
I mean, I kind of feel like if something is gonna fail during the warranty period, it needs to be replaced because it was not good to begin
And
with.
it needs to be replaced at our standards.
Yeah.
And the district standards. So our next one that we're going to, I'm sorry, I'm going so fast, but section 7, subsection A, the indemnification provision, he has requested that we remove subsection.
No, indemnification is really,
Okay.
yeah, it's, I mean, you can be, because
We-
that's the last resort for us, basically.
Yes, and that is, I do think we could finagle it to have those instances fall under subsection 1, but I agree, I'm not super comfortable waiving that, but it is the board's decision, so we will push back on that if that's okay. Subsection 11, we're comfortable with, remedies except as specifically provided herein. Neither party shall be
Yeah.
liable to the other for special consequential incidental damages. I'm fine with that, just wanted to make the board aware. They requested under that same section 11, section E, claims for construction defects. Our standard in our construction contracts is that to the extent any of the services described are defective as it relates to construction, we are not subject to the notice and cure provisions under chapter 558 of the Florida statutes. And why we do that is because if we are subject to those notice and cure provisions, it can make it harder for us to recover and actually fix the issue at hand. So our standard is to include that statement we have in there. Dan has requested that be removed. It is up to the board. I just would like the board to be aware that removing that could limit the district's ability to recover in a defect situation in the future.
I think if you recommending that stay in place, then that needs to be what we do because you are our legal counsel and we pay you for this knowledge.
If I could have just gone through and pushed back on it all my own, but I had to get y'all sign off.
Yeah, but one thing is that, one positive thing here is they already signed the affidavit initially. So if too much of pushback comes, there is a room for them to accept, not for.
Yes. And Dan has been really great to work with and we've had good conversations, so I'm not overly concerned. So I will go back to him with that. Otherwise, we will have it scheduled to begin in the fall, once they get all their permits pulled and the board signs off on that start date. But great news is the price won't be changing. So that's exciting. Otherwise, I have nothing else on the pool resurfacing unless y'all have questions for me.
I have something to add. So it looks like, I need to look at the RFP again, but the heaters that they proposed were to replace our current pool heaters, not heat the lazy river. So,
Let
we want the lazy river heated, so they're working on a potential change.
And some of those full dues we have.
Paul, that was already in the proposal that they sent.
It was to replace the pool heater, not give us lazy river.
No, it's under lazy river.
There were two different,
That's the first I'm hearing of it. I'll review the.
Because these heaters aren't old.
Well, they're brand new.
They're brand new.
Yeah, they don't need replacing at all.
They're.
The only thing that needs a pool heater is the lazy river, and the lazy river is being housed.
Swap, because it was definitely included in the RFP, but I'm trying to do a swap. But let's review the
We'll
contract.
review it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I thought that when Simon did all these, we asked all of the right questions about the pool heaters, because I remember Bobby had questions about the heaters back there. And it was,
I heard this information yesterday, so let us review the RFP and what was proposed and verify, because the argument that I initially made was we already have a pool heater, so.
Exactly, so that is where there's a confusion there, not the confusion, clarification. Because the pool heaters are relatively new.
they're not.
That day that when Bobby brought this up, same thing we brought it up on previous meeting also. They are contemplating on the working on the lazy river. You know, not to touch too much on the pool heater, because it's just relatively new and it is on warranty still, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. So we'll get back to you on that. And, oh yeah, questions?
Questions on the pool resurfacing? If not, I'll bring back the final agreement for ratification at the next meeting after I talk with Dan.
Brian, when we're done with this meeting, can I have like 5 minutes to walk out to the lazy river and show you something
Sure.
as it relates to this?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on pool? Staff will stay busy. All right, great time. Only 3 minutes over. And next, landscape maintenance. Karen, honestly, I could turn it over to you. You do have, 2 proposals. So you're on tab 2. Got your, inspection. And Supervisor Winker was part of our transition earlier this week. So Sunscape came on property, reviewed the last list of deficiencies with Yellowstone. So they're working on executing those to ensure that last payment is issued. And then as well as meet with Dora on the new direction that we're heading. Anything major to notate?
So just to kind of bring people up to speed, we had a pretty devastating winter event, and aside from the fact that we're transitioning over to Dora, we had a great meeting. What was that?
No, you're good. I know somebody.
Okay, we had a great meeting with the transition team over to Dora. Truly, this is having one landscaping team on, covering the entire community is going to help address a lot of our irrigation issues and our scheduling issues. And also just to give you an idea, we're going about this not in a haphazard, oh, let's do this, let's do that kind of way. The addition of Sunscape as our landscape management has been phenomenal. They are, the way I see this is that Sunscape is very high level, right? They're looking at things from a macro perspective. And then you have the homeowners who are looking at things from the perspective of what they see and experientially, right? And what they'd like to see improved. And then I kind of feel like my position is more or less as a bridge to be able to hear what Sunscape has to say, and they're relating that information to Dora, making sure that Dora is doing things as they're supposed to be doing or as we want them to do it, and that everything is being done in a way that makes sense. And then for me to communicate that to y'all. So in that spirit, what we're doing is the first, what we're doing right now is discovery which includes, checking all of our irrigation. It's doing sample testing on our soil, in various areas and doing in-depth. So they're not just looking at, oh, it's this kind of sand instead of this kind of soil. They're looking at all kinds of, diseases, all kinds of things. There's a reason why all of our grass is not, it's not thriving. And it's not just because it's the wrong kind of soil, and it's not just because of irrigation. In some cases, it's infected with something. And so we've got to find that out. Now, we're not doing the entire community because that would be cost prohibitive. So we're doing certain areas. So that's the discovery part of this. And then the next part of it is going to be remediation. Is going to be, okay, how do we fix this problem that we have in these various areas? And then is going to come implementation. We have to look at every single type of plant has a different schedule for pruning, for maintenance, for fertilization and that kind of thing. So all of those things, but pretty much like on a lot of things, we've got a lot of these country palms that did extremely well given the weather circumstances. Well, if we don't get those pruned in May, guess what? We're waiting until next year. So, so we do have schedules that we have to adhere to for certain of the plants. But by and large, what you're going to see this summer is you're going to see see more of a discovery mode, some remediation. There are some things that we're going to be able to plant and to give us and our guests that immediate gratification without waiting, but also without spending a lot of money. And then give us time to create a plan. In the fall is when you're going to see us starting to do plantings. And you're going to start seeing improvements because that's the schedule that the plant life lives on and depends on. So, so that's pretty much it. We're moving forward. And in the interim, based upon feedback, we're coming up. I believe everybody in the community is open to weigh in on different ideas and different thoughts and, what they'd like to see in the community from my vantage point where landscaping is concerned. And let us know what you think. And we're going to develop the plan accordingly. So that's
a great update. Discovery mode, kind of getting our bearings with the new vendor. And then once we have an ideal plan of all the deficiencies, we'll know how to move forward. And then we'll see.
I think that's what we've been missing. We've been missing a plan. And what we've had is, stick your finger in the dike and then another leak springs over here. We stick our finger in that dike. So rather than, bouncing off the walls, we want to come up with a comprehensive plan. We want to come up with a 1-year plan, 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. And so we have this going to very smoothly roll forward as our budget allows.
That's right.
And we are very cognizant of the fact that right now, costs, expenditures for everything is rising. And meanwhile, people are tightening their belts from a day-to-day cost of living in their households. So we're trying to keep that together, not, we've been very good at not having to raise CDDs for quite some time. And we're going to try to keep it there. And thank goodness we solutions that have actually driven revenue to our community, which are helping us to offset additional expenses because they're just going to be coming rolling in, and we don't want to have to, we don't want to have to pull back on any services. So thankfully, anything that we can do, not having to do landscaping necessarily, but anything that we can do that's going to drive revenue to this community, even though it may cost us a little bit of money up front, if it's going to save us money or drive revenue to us, that's going to be how we're going to keep things rolling, I think.
No, yeah, please.
So since today is officially Yellowstone's last day,
It's technically, I think, Sunday.
or probably today, because they're probably not going to be here over the weekend, would be my guess. Has all of the work on this Sunscape report been completed by them?
Almost.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost fine, but it was 3 items on that.
I
Okay,
think we still have moss growing on Boulevard. You know,
do,
they only address part of it. So are they going to complete that?
The conversation that they had with Jeff did tick that part off. When we were sitting there before he he did tick the part off about the moss. Saying that they removed as much as they both could. So that,
I can literally walk down the Boulevard with my hands and reach and pull.
so we could go back to Sunscape and say, hey, you know, can we kind of lean on Yellowstone and go back on a little bit?
Yeah.
The other 3 items, it was just mowing, something to do with the front that they had to do with the knockout roses. But they needed to trim the front of the spring for the 3 open items that they were going to be over the weekend.
The roses did really well in the winter.
And then I'm looking at the irrigation report that was done on April 6th, and it's showing that we need, we have at least 2 non-functional zones. Do we know if they were addressed? One says needs a rain for solenoid, and the other one says it needs a valve pipe replacement.
Yeah, you have 2 proposals.
That's here.
Yeah, you have 2 proposals on tab 4 and 5
Yes,
to rectify the
okay.
irrigation.
That's-
I would recommend approval. These have been vetted from your Sunscape team and they're ready for approval. These are
Okay.
part of the last
All right,
items.
that's what I was.
Take a motion when ready.
Motion to approve 68067
Second.
in the amount of,
And this one as well, Bobby.
It's 1194,
69078, sir.
Very good. Motion from Bobby,
Second.
second from Supervisor Winker. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that is good. That sums up landscaping. Board, please feel free to review the detailed inspection report on tab 2. This report will be on all of your agendas, and this gives you a concise list from Sunscape on, the deficiencies per the new scope of service. Any other questions on landscaping? All right, good job buying back some time with landscaping. All right. Jump into F&B operations. Greg did notify staff that he has a minor procedure scheduled for today, so he was unable to attend. Joe will be taking over this portion.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go through the notes that he provided. Obviously, if you have any questions, I'll write everything down. So just, for those that don't know, I've been promoted, so. Within Artemis, I'm now Director of Community Management. What does that mean for you now? It doesn't change anything. I don't work with any other communities, still working with you all. All it means is that, Sandra's gonna go back to focusing on celebration and reunion. And I'll be in her position here. Greg will be under me, but he's obviously already fairly autonomous and I've already worked with Debbie. So, it just helps to keep things in-house, and my direct report is the vice president of the company. So if we need to leverage any resources, it just takes care of the extra layers. In terms of this summary, it looks like net sales for March of 2026 came in at $132,311.93. That was a total process of $170,860.71, 5,866 orders with 14,029 items sold. Okay, so March 26th, Cafe Soul Bar and Grill continues to show strong growth in sales, guest traffic, and daily operations. Again, that goes back to the numbers. There's been a strong increase in volume and continued momentum for the business. I'll let Brian kind of go in because I think you had more of a net breakdown of where we're actually at in terms of funds, but the strongest revenue categories were food at $47,652, liquor at $41,250, and non-alcoholic beverages at $26,594. Again, with all of these. Guest engagement was a major highlight. Cafe Soul reached 512 loyalty members. We received 2,102 guest feedback entries and maintained a 5.0 average and resolved 100% of feedback issues. Top selling food items, chicken wings, mozzarella bites, the soul nachos, chicken tenders, french fries, and pizza. So that's obviously just showing strong guest demand for 4 menu items. Operationally, March showed strong control. Expected actual closeout cash flow matched at $15,298.58 with a $0 variance. Waste totaled $792.15. Management's going to continue to focus on portion control, prep discipline, labeling, date dotting, and inventory rotation. So obviously we move again, because we are 2 months behind, as they move into April, the focus of that month We've been using March results to improve staffing for peak days, tighten ordering and inventory controls, monitoring discounts and comps, growing the loyalty program further. And then obviously still working with the amenity side to try to drive sales through some of the activities we're doing there. So again, really strong month for the most part. With respect to FMB, there were a number of little minor maintenance ideas, but nothing super crazy. Minor issue with a gas leak, but we took care of that, I think. And yeah, so staffing heavier Friday, Saturday lunch. Pool side demand's been really high, so in order to get those ordered out and kind of to the cabanas and to the people, that's been difficult. So I'm gonna work with Greg and with the staffing in general, just to make sure that he's good to go there. And then to one of the questions that was raised in the previous meeting, I'm currently working with Artemis, the HR department, everything else to look at, again, what is the better value add for the delivery for homes? What can we do to obviously decrease those costs, whether it's just removing a delivery fee entirely, or what we can actually do on our gratuity side and fill that as well.
So I know that one day he had to kind of put pause on mobile orders because the only person that was staffed that day was the bartender that could drive the golf cart. He said he was working on getting other staff members added to the insurance policy to drive the golf cart. Where are we with that?
Yeah, so
We've not anybody else added?
yeah, we collected all the IDs, we sent them over to the insurer. And then once they give us a thumbs up that everybody's properly insured for the golf cart, then we'll have more than just the two people that can actually drive and deliver.
Yeah.
Outside of Greg. And then that way, I would say about 80% of the staff can operate the golf cart.
Yeah, about 80%. Yeah, I know that there's at least one that doesn't drive right now, so that's kind of a not gonna work.
Yeah, so that's not.
Give the board a quick update. Supervisor Nalum and I were looking at the financials. Your current F&B fund is sitting at 299,000. So if you take in the 150 that we have given for operational expenditures, brings you down to right now we're averaging a $37,000 profit per month. That's as of 4 months. So obviously you need more data, but that is net sales after expenditures.
So we only need to contribute the 75,000 if the balance drops below a certain level.
Which it will, because the current model right now is, all the revenue is coming into the F&B account, and out of the F&B account, when they need to replenish out of that operating 75, it comes right out of that same account back to Artemis, so they can go for another 2-3 months. But essentially, your F&B account continues to grow.
We only have to replenish if it drops below 75,000, and then at the end of each year is when the incentive payments would go to Artemis, depending on if they hit the benchmarks that are in the permit.
All right, so when do we move that money out of the revenue account and into the CDD general fund?
We'll get into that in the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, but just know, to Joe's point, you have 299 of earnings technically right now.
Okay.
299,000.
So the management fee, you mentioned only 2 months, for the first quarter.
I included April, Supervisor Elam, because I just got that balance right now, so
It's
I
actually
think.
3 months, right?
Yeah.
You get $4,000 to support you, 6,000.
Repeat that, I'm so sorry.
So in this, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like the management agreement for Artemis.
Sorry, yeah, my numbers are straight from our operating account. I hadn't looked at these just yet.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you how they compare to what we know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But great opportunity. Joe, do you want to review anything on this?
Yeah, we can, in terms of I think what was your second item on for F&B, was it the annual?
I think I had it as this, the tab 7.
Do we have any idea why the food cost for March was so much higher than February? I mean, I know we were busier and so then you spend more, but some of the other numbers aren't proportionately.
So, again, my understanding thus far of this, because you do see, there's a disparity both in your labor, as you can see labor from January, February, and then March as well.
Yeah.
that's an invoicing thing is what I'm understanding.
So you just need a couple of months for it to kind of even out.
Because basically we just had, I mean, that happened in January. And you had
Yeah, we have to January.
We had March, but basically when March is, we're suddenly invoicing Rosetta. And now you're actually starting to see
Yeah.
some, this is a chunkier month. But I think if we start getting to the next few, then we'll actually have a day for both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that January for a half month was not the same as February, even though we did have some staff coming in and doing some tasks. It
Yeah.
wasn't. Okay, so we just need to wait and see what happens. when
You need
we
a
get
full year of
April's
data.
Data and.
Yeah.
I did add a pretty chunky little disclaimer on this budget for the next year, in the sense that it is based off of very little data.
Yeah, yeah.
And with March kind of being a little bit of a clunky month, not even necessarily data that I'm 100% thrilled with, but that's something.
No, but it's great.
Guys, we've got an hour and 20 minutes, and we've got quite a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, no, thank you, Karen. So anything else on F&B? Since Greg's out, we were really just doing a high level overview. Please feel free to send us any inquiries so we can follow up with Greg off the line. All right, let's go ahead and move on to general manager updates. Joe, take it back to you.
We need to get an approval for the 2027 annual plan. And what I would request is that this approval be in substantial form so that I can go through, Megan and I can go back through, make sure it conforms with the contract. And then we can work through any back office things that need to be shifted around. But we do need that in a formal approval by the board.
Take a motion.
Okay. A motion.
Motion from Deb, second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
May I ask that we, anything that must be voted on today, that we just kind of push that up on the agenda and then we can start going through the good stuff after that?
Honestly, I don't think it's just the proposed budget, yeah, but, we're getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my manager's report, I won't go into all the stuff. Again, we have an executive summary at the top. The only thing I really want to point out in that is that this is the first month that our gross sales, actually decreased versus last year. Now that being said, initially I looked at it as the Cabana sales, but then when I pulled it out, it was a 28% decrease. And that's a 28% almost matched either fee. So it does look like it has to do with bookings just in general. So and that's how it makes it a little hard for us to identify where we're going to be in the next month. What we did do, we're back to full cost of sale on the Cabanas. So those are all the way back where they need to be, and so they've still been selling well. We'll take a look next month and see where we're at. Again, reviews continue to go up. The team's doing a great job on that, pushing all of that. Again, our hours, we're about 97%, 98.5%. Peak season deployment, and the team's doing a great job. We are thin on some days. We get any call outs. It's really tough, but everybody's, pulling together, very proud of the team. Maintenance projects, again, they're all proceeding forward as planned. And we'll have a new maintenance program set up here soon to better audit a lot of that stuff. Aside from that, unless you have any questions, I kind of just want to move into the proposals we had, because there's some detail there.
Joe, I think that maybe some of the drop in the sales wasn't necessarily to rentals, but I think it might be more related to the fact that Easter and Passover were the same week, so we had the peak on top of peak instead of spread out into separate weeks.
Yeah, that's, yeah, absolutely.
Next year, they're a month apart almost. They're
Yeah.
several weeks apart, so we're gonna have. the
Yeah,
benefit
and
of
so
two
we do better.
two different high seasons instead of.
Right in the middle, just basically, it was work based on stuff. I don't know, we'll see. We'll hang on. Just gonna do our thing, but in terms of, were there any questions on manager support just in general?
No, your report is fantastic.
Thank you. All right, so if we could do the consideration of courtyard recreation enhancement proposals. This one, did a vendor bid comparison on this. It's a little detailed here, but I'm gonna try to make it as not complex as possible. So, I re-added in, you had two quotes that you had previously approved. You had one quote, for fence outlet.
Turf and fencing.
From the previous, board meeting.
Yeah.
And then you also had PNF, which you had done for the turf, right? You guys decided on the PS 70. I included those back because it does apply to one of your bids. So Portco, Stewart Tennis, PNF Miami, those are the three groups that wanted to bid on this. If you look at the bottom, okay, so basically all in all, everybody's in on what it is you're looking for, with the exception of the fact that two of the companies, well, most of the companies were not huge fans of shuttleboard. They basically
Supported by what?
the shuttleboard. So they were advising that shuttleboard is not only extremely expensive, but that at most of the resorts and most of the sites that they've been installing it, they see extremely low use.
Okay,
So if you look across, Stewart Tennis didn't want to bid on it, to include the shuttleboard.
okay,
And then Portco gave you two options, which is one shuttleboard court or two shuttleboard courts. PNF, who again are doing the turf, they came in just absolutely excited, because they were like, hey, we do all of this stuff too, why wouldn't we ask to do it? So they said, well, let's come back and talk. What their idea is, because again, the amount of turf, the PS 70, I think you were at about 80,000 before, give or take, was the previous approved.
Yes.
Because you're using a lot of that space, you're using less turf.
yeah,
So they basically rebid the turf proposal in at 43,831.
Oh, wow.
They want to put pavers at the corners where we're thinking of
The
doing
tables.
the
Okay.
tables. They would be doing your chess court. They also wanted to bid and were willing to more or less match your gate at the 5 feet and the black aluminum. So they wanted to match the fence. And they were willing, when we went to them, fence outlet was 5-year lifetime warranty on material, but 5-year on labor. Previously, PNF was 2-year, but they were willing to match. So they're willing to match your 5-year labor. On top of that, as opposed to, they're still doing
the box.
the horseshoes, the bocce, yeah, they're doing the bocce, the horseshoes, they'll include all the original, or all the starter equipment. What they want to do and what they specialize in, and I would have added photos, but everything on their Instagram is a video. What they want to do is a 6-hole putting green instead of the shuffleboard.
That's the win, there it is.
No, it is,
It's gonna have a white turf bunker as well, so that you get some back and forth play.
One question. What about people playing sand volleyball and bonking somebody?
I think based off what they showed us, I think there's gonna be some decent spacing
Yeah.
between them.
Okay.
Which is-
It might happen.
No, I love it.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
and that's what they specialize in. If you go on their Instagram, they have time.
The motion to move forward with PNF Miami in amount 109,575.
And so that's one bocce ball, 2 horseshoes, the artificial turf, a small putt course, pavers on the corners, and the lawn chest, and the fence,
And your original turf.
Yes.
Almost half of it.
and
Wow.
for 109,525, that's a win.
Yeah.
Do we have to motion to terminate with fence outlet, or did we not sign the agreement?
Never signed.
No, we never finished the answers, yeah.
Now, I will make a motion to approve.
I already did.
So motion second for
No, that's
Supervisor
okay.
Lane. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, awarding PNF the revised bid for the amending enhancements.
Oh, and to answer Samon's question, that you had before, so they do cooling and fill, that comes with it. The cooling and fill, and I have a little program in terms of.
That was a really.
So we'll. cool
I love that.
In terms of the settings.
All right, wonderful.
Nobody should be complaining about amenities fees.
Uh,
And so, Joe, will that include the equipment for these, or do we have to purchase the equipment separately, like the bocce ball sets and horseshoes and stuff?
Yeah, PNF says the initial round of equipment comes with it.
Okay, perfect. So we don't even have to buy the equipment.
It would just be replacement.
And then it will be replacement, and then we'll maintenance that from here.
Yeah,
What if you $5 amenity fee?
we'll make sure it's in the contract, because there's other stuff like scoreboards for bocce, I don't know if that's included with the equipment, but we can make sure.
Okay.
That's, we'll make, it'll be drafted to be very
Okay.
clear on what's included. Yes.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
That's really great, that saves.
Joe outdid himself with that.
No, that was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, they were super excited, so, okay, and then, so we've already done that one. I know it's not mine, but as far as the
The orchard?
business, no, the business of the, sidewalks for Trent.
Yeah,
If that's in the business section, can I just move up now? So that I-
yeah, that's fine. You just want to review, you want to take a motion and rearrange the agenda? Okay, alright.
Okay, Trent, do you want to kind of speak to what we talked about?
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Trent. I'm with Precision Sidewalk Safety. We specialize in deeper.
Tab 17.
At 17, thank you.
Certain fall hazards, throughout community sidewalks.
Yeah, I've done a few of those recently.
So before Precision, what people were doing was one, just completely ripping out and pouring their concrete. You're going to need this, but it's extremely costly to just demolish and replace. They were also grinding down sidewalks. Now, grinder just kind of scrapes and pulverizes over the top of the concrete, leading to an imprecise repair, oftentimes kind of leaving us like a dome or like hump over top and not fully eliminating the change in level. What we do is we have access to a horizontal saw that we patented, which gives us the ability to precisely cut through the concrete as opposed to scrape it from the top. So this cutting method allows us to do two things. One, every single location that we repair is guaranteed to be ADA compliant, meaning that the change in level, the trip hazard of course, is fully eliminated across the width of the panel and it's properly sloped. The other major benefit of this method is it allows us to give you a nice, more attractive, clean finish across the entirety of the repair, so you have nice, precise cut marks where we've repaired your sidewalk as opposed to scrapes that a grinder will leave. So what we did is we canvassed the entirety of the resort, 1/2 inch to 2 inches, what we're able to repair. And then you'll see we have, I believe it's 310 locations that we're able to fix throughout here.
This is your map.
Yeah, so this is your map.
That was enough.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a really good rate, yeah.
Man, it would have cost more than that if I had fallen and broken my head.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the figure 7 on page 8, right?
Wow.
On page 8.
Page 8.
Yeah.
Oh. Here we go.
So basically, this is what I have picture.
Yeah, so this is the before.
I didn't even do that.
So this is
I've
also,
fallen twice.
when you slice it down, does it have a label surface?
No, so it's a completely smooth surface on the actual repair plane and it's properly sloped. So when you're like, you like a wheelchair going across from panel to panel, it's a very gradual rise. That way there's no issue with the sloping. We use a 1 to 12 slope, which is specified in the ADA. So for every 1 inch rise, we'll start our cut 12 inches back on this panel in order to ensure you have that proper slope from panel.
What about the kids running like under this